The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbransen.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio. We appreciate you being with us. Of course, this is the only All Raiders show on the air in the City of Lights, the city of Las Vegas, Nevada. Here at CBS Sports Radio 1140, we're coming to you live from the Dollar Loan Center, don'tbebroke.com studios. I'm your host, Scott Gulbransen, founder and publisher of silverandblacktoday.com. Welcome back, everybody. And joining me, as always, my good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Kelly Kreiner and Chaz Osborne. How you guys doing?
Oh, good. Last week we were best of enemies.
Well, you know, it oscillates.
Listen to the show.
You don't listen to the show. That's good. That sounds great. Okay, so let's. There's a lot to get to today. Oh, by the way, guys, did you watch? I know the answer on Kelly's case, but did you guys watch the Final Four yesterday?
100%.
We got to start with that, right?
Raiders.
Yeah, people who are whining about the call just need to stop.
It was a foul.
It was a foul, and then they're talking about the double dribble. Look, if Auburn shoots the ball better throughout the course of the game, then you're not even having the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, if the refs just do your job,
well,
then we have a whole different conversation altogether.
That's a conversation every week.
I know, but be better at your job. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Well, and that's true. I do think that if you look at the entire tournament, too, by the way, the officiating, as I think has been a common issue amongst almost every major sport, the officiating just is not great. There needs to be like a summit of all sports. They need to come together, and figure it out.
They have meetings 100% after the game. They review. They have people that review their calls over and over and over. They're trying to get it right. They're trying to put the best product out there. It's just, the human element. It's hard to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to accept that, Chaz. You're making excuses for that.
We could put a computer behind the pitching, behind the plate, right? And we can get balls and strikes. But other than that, how are they going to do it in football and basketball, hockey?
Well, that's a good point. But I think that we'll see, as we saw with the NFL and the Saints game, which apparently Sean Payton was eating a lot of ice cream in the offseason because he's still depressed about it. We'll talk about that another time. Just a reminder, we are streaming today's show worldwide on radio.com app. If you know someone in Raider Nation looking for a show that covers the Silver and Black with some objectivity and professionalism, please tell them to download the app and join us every Sunday. The best music, talk, and sports anywhere, live right there on the smartphone. Get the radio.com app. If you're more visual, you can actually come in the studio with us, watch our live simulcast on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope on Twitter, and join us right in the studio. Where's the camera? Is that what you're saying, Chaz?
Mine's right here. I don't know where yours is.
You're having trouble finding the camera?
Where's the cameras?
We try to hide them from you.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, we have to talk to you about what happened between the shows.
I always freeze up when I see the camera. I don't know what to do with my hands.
But you could watch us there. By the way, I want to say thank you. If you're watching on the stream, I'm going to open my jacket here and show you the shirt I'm wearing. Kevin from the Raider Nation, Rochester, New York, sent me this shirt, so I'm repping them today. I want to say thank you to him. If you've ever been to Rochester, New York, just fantastic people there. And, of course, the Raider Nation in Rochester, an amazingly active group. They do great stuff up there. So if you're in the area, check them out. If you're visiting the area, connect with them during the season and watch a game with them. Good folks, and we just want to give them a shout-out today and say thank you very much for the T-shirt. In addition, to make sure that you read our website that started it all, silverandblacktoday.com, where you can find coverage of the Raiders all year round, all emanating from their future home here in Las Vegas. Okay, let's set topics on the table and tell you what's ahead on today's show. The Raiders added their 18th new player this week as the team signed two more free agents, safety Jordan Richard and former San Diego Fleet of the AAF defensive end Alex Barrett, the defunct AAF, which I think Kelly might have something to say about later. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll hear about that a little bit later. In our first hour, we're going to ask the question, might the Raiders, here we go, buckle up. Here comes the haters, the lovers, and whatever else in between. In our first hour, we're going to talk about, may the Raiders actually, guys, draft a quarterback high in the first round? This is a polarizing question. with heated tweet storms and arguments all over Raider Nation. We're going to talk about this, how realistic it is, and why it could very well happen. And if you disagree with that, give us a call, 702-889-5978. We'll get you on right away on the air if you call in on this question. Then later in the first hour, one of our favorite guests in the entire business, as they call it, Mo Moton from NFL Spin Zone and Bleacher Report, will be with us live. And he thinks that the Kyler Murray quarterback narrative might be a masterstroke of genius by John Gruden and Mike Mayock to grab another stud up at number 4 in the draft, and that guy happens to be the guy that I've said all along they should draft. That's an interview you can't miss. Mo Moton at the bottom of the hour. We'll also continue draft chatter and explore some of the major needs the Raiders still have despite their big offseason acquisitions. We'll tell you our possible sleepers, give you our 2 cents on where the Raiders may go. All that and more. Yes, all that and more. Sunday. Okay, I feel like I'm selling something, including your phone calls. That's the thing. We really want people with this quarterback, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr stuff. We want you to call in. A lot of people have a lot to say. If you have a lot to say and you have a good point, call in. Make your case. Judge Wapner is on the bench. Let's hear it. 702-889-5978 is the number. There you have it, Raider Nation. You're up to date. We've set topics on the table here on Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Raider. Now it's your turn. Pick up the phone, 702-889-5978. All right, guys. So we're going to get into the whole quarterback thing more in depth next segment, but we want to hear what Raider Nation has to say and what fans have to say. So we're going to do, and I think we already have a phone call. Is that right, David? Who we got? DJ? DJ. Where's he calling from? Do we know? No. Okay.
I'm calling from
DJ.
home of Penn State University.
Hold on, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so say that again. You're calling from where?
Penn State.
Penn State?
Calling from State College, Pennsylvania, home of the Penn State Nittany Lions and former Raider great Matt McGloin.
Yeah, there you go. DJ, I love it, man. Hey, thanks for listening to us out there in the Eastern Time Zone. What do you got to say, man? What case you making today?
Well, I saw your post on Facebook about the quarterback situation for the Raiders, and I think that the Cardinals are just generating a smokescreen with this Murray stuff. I really don't think they intend to take him. I think they're trying to get the Raiders to give up the number 4 and one of the other first-round picks and maybe like a future 2, to try and lure them up to get Murray. Hopefully the Raiders aren't stupid enough to do that.
Okay, so DJ, so your point is that you believe that the Raiders actually have an interest in Kyler Murray. Is that correct?
Like I said, if the Cardinals don't get a trade bite and he were to fall down to the Raiders at 4, I don't think there's any way that Gruden passes him up. I just think that he's just too infatuated with him. Like I said, like the Cardinals were contemplating doing with Rosen, I think the Raiders then looked to deal Carr, who again, like you posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
He's in his prime. I mean, he has a big contract, but the kid still continues to put up good numbers, although he hasn't been the same since he hurt himself. But I mean, the numbers are still there. I mean, you look at the year he put together last year with the running back Lynch out. They trade Cooper. He had no one. He turned Jared Cook into an All-Pro. That guy never came close to an All-Pro career with anybody, and got him a huge payday with New Orleans. So again, like I said, will Carr ever recover? I mean, it's unlikely. Once you go through the kind of trauma that kid's been through, when you break your back, and you have those level of severe injuries, I just don't think, he's the answer. I mean, you saw the squabbling on the sideline with Gruden during the inaugural season. I don't think it's going to get any better. All these coaches continue to say that, that the quarterback is their man. The Cardinals are saying it with Rosen. The Raiders are saying it with Carr. Every team says it. Because, well, what are you going to say? You have to give confidence, in the event that you don't make a deal. But like I said, if Murray falls to the Raiders at 4, they're going to take him. But what the Cardinals are doing is it's just a scheme to try and get the Raiders.
Well,
to move
DJ.
up.
Yeah, DJ, hey, man, thanks for your call, and we really appreciate your support out there in College Station, Pennsylvania. Thanks again. No, I think he gives a good point, and I think as we get more into this in a couple minutes after the break, because they explore these situations and because they're exploring a quarterback does not mean that they're going to do it, number one. Number two, it doesn't mean that they don't believe in Derek Carr. But the bottom line is it's a business. If you can get better and you believe a player is there, honestly, you believe as an evaluator of talent that a player will get you closer to your end goal, which is a championship, then you do it. So I think DJ's point's well taken, and is a much more objective point than I hear from a lot of Raider fans who are so set against it, and they won't even listen. They say they won't follow the team, Kelly, if they draft Murray.
Yeah, but you hear stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I remember hearing somebody say last year that if they took Arden Key, he'd never be a Raiders fan again. So, I mean, you people say, I mean, their fans get emotional. People say stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. If Trump gets elected, I'm moving to Canada or whatever, right?
Well, no.
Some people did that, I think.
No, but people just now found out you can't just move into Canada. They actually have an immigration system that you have to actually do things to get in there.
You're kidding.
It's like, what, you just can't go somewhere and live? No, sorry.
Why would you want to move down to Costa Rica or somewhere a little warmer?
I know, a little warmer with some beaches.
Why are they going to go to Canada?
Oh boy! All right. Well, that we've burned through the first part of our show here, and we're going to step aside, take a break, pay some bills. When we come back, we're going to go in depth on this Raiders drafting a quarterback, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, however you want to put it, situation. So we want you to stay with us. Make sure you call in. Want to thanks again, DJ from College Station, Pennsylvania. We have fans all over the country, all over the world. We appreciate your support.
Matt McGloin shout out.
And the Matt McGloin shout out, absolutely. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
1140.
Help us talk the Silver and Black. Call us at 702-889-5978. Here's Scott Gulbranson on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio. Just want to tell you about a couple things. Of course, we talk football on the show, but for those of you in Las Vegas, it's still hockey season, and it's about to be the playoff season, right? You're going to have the Golden Knights now are playing the San Jose Sharks in the first round of the playoffs beginning Wednesday night at 7:30. And we have a really fun promotion happening on Wednesday night at the Moneyline Sports Bar and Book at Park MGM. Watch hockey with us. That's right. Come down. We'll have a tap takeover with the Ryan Reeves 7.5. It's a beer. Ryan Reeves, of course, my favorite Golden Knight because he beats the crap out of everybody. Abel Baker Training Day beer will also be there. The party's open to the public starting at 7 p.m. Wednesday. And Park MGM has given us 4 VIP prize packages to give away. That includes food, beverage for you and a guest, free entry to the after party on the On the Record. So this is your chance to get past the velvet rope. The new nightclub there, which is called On the Record. Plus a basket filled with Training Day beers, Abel Baker Ducks. If you've seen their tap, they have little ducks. We have some of those. And you'll get a basket that has Moneyline stickers and a bunch of other cool prizes in there. We're going to randomly pick winners through next Wednesday. All you have to do is follow Saturday Sports Beat. That's our sister show here on CBS Sports Radio on Saturdays, hosted by Tony Cardasco from 8 to 10 a.m. If you follow them at beat_Saturday on Twitter, they're going to pick a winner there to win that prize package. So come and party with us. Golden Knights fans, Raider Nations, welcome as well. Wednesday night at Moneyline Sports Bar and Book at Park MGM. All right, guys, so here we go. We're going to get into it. We really want to hear from you guys. Call in now. This is your opportunity to make a case for or against the Raiders taking a quarterback high in this draft. Okay, guys? So let's talk. I mean, clearly, the reason this chatter is even happening is because of one person. And that is Kyler Murray. Okay, so Dwayne Haskins, good quarterback. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. You have Drew Lock, you have Jones, you have other guys out there. My guy's Ryan Finley, but you can get him in the 3rd or 4th round probably. 7. But to me, this situation, there is smoke there. So let's talk through this. And Kelly, I want to start with you on this. When you look at this situation and the Raiders and what they're up to, you have Raider fans out there who dismiss it and say, no way, no way, no way. Tell them why it's not so far-fetched.
Well, the main reason it's not far-fetched is the most valuable asset in the NFL is a quarterback on a rookie contract. I mean, if you look at what Cleveland did this offseason, everything they added because they had a cheap quarterback. Look at what the Rams have done the last couple of years because they have a cheap quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. He's on a cheap quarterback. Now, the way the Chiefs have spent some of their money is kind of mind-boggling. Sammy Watkins. But, I mean, they've thrown out big contracts and stuff there because they have a quarterback on a cheap contract. And that's the main thing. If you hit on that quarterback, you're set up. You've got a 4 or 5 year, you got a 5-year run before you get into the big spending, eating up all your cap. And so, you've got a chance. You have your shots right there. And that's the main reason that anytime there is a quarterback that may or may not be a franchise-level guy, you have to take a look at him.
Well, and to your point, too, Kelly, and Chaz, you're going to chime in here in a second as well. You have to, number one, and I've seen some people, right, especially some of the reporters who cover the Raiders because they're doing their job well, you have to always do your due diligence. You don't know what's going to happen in the draft. You don't know if number one, you have a guy that you might take, or number two, the Chargers or the Broncos trade up and grab him, and then suddenly he's in your division. You want to know that player as much as you can. In the NFL, when it comes to player personnel, knowledge is king. You have to know and scout that player. You're going to have to scout them anyway at some point. So meetings don't mean that they're going to draft him. But to me, in doing their due diligence, Chaz, the Raiders are preparing for drafting him or playing against him.
Yeah. No, you're always preaching the due diligence, and then that's across the board in all sports. You have to do that. You have to know exactly. You when you're in the draft, you have your draft board set up. So when all the players come, you know exactly what you're doing at that exact moment. And the same thing with free agency. You've already vetted everybody. You know exactly what you're doing. You're doing your due diligence. There's a lot of talk about the smoke screen, and I know there is some smoke screening going on where Arizona could be doing a smoke screen. I personally believe that the Raiders are doing a huge smoke screen because once Gruden came out a month ago and said how much he loved Kyler Murray, all of a sudden, his stock went way up. Everybody's talking about it. And I just don't see it personally. I know you guys think the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback. I don't even think they're going to draft a quarterback this year, and that might be their subtle way of telling Carr, we have confidence in you. And personally, I would just like Gruden to come out and say it, after the draft. We have confidence in Carr moving forward.
Well, but no, I agree with you, and I've been somebody who's defended Derek Carr through a lot of folks throwing him under the bus. And the intent of this segment, by the way, $1 for me, is the fact that we want to have the conversation. To have the conversation doesn't mean, A, I think it's going to happen, or two, that I think it should happen. But this is the NFL, folks. It is a business. You have to get better, and you have to think about what you're going to do. I do think Derek Carr is their quarterback right now. But on April 26th, if someone comes to you with a trade offer and you get into a position to take a quarterback and you can find value for the other one or whatever it may be, you're going to consider it. Kelly, for anybody to think that anybody is untradeable after what the Raider Nation and Raider fans went through last year with Khalil Mack are smoking what's already legal here in Nevada.
Yeah, there's really no such thing as an untradeable player unless it's like Aaron Rodgers this year to where the contract – it's prohibitive, right? The dead money would put him like $35 million over the salary cap. It's just insane. That's the only time there's some of that is truly untradeable is if it's a financial issue like that. And even like Chaz, you worked. How many times did Juwan Howard get traded? Right. How many times do people pick up contracts like that in the NBA?
Always. They're always throwing in a contract.
There's always somebody that'll find a way to make money fit.
Right. And a lot of times you have to.
Yeah. But the other reason you talk about doing your due diligence, say they don't draft a quarterback this year, but Derek Carr doesn't do well, and next year they're in the market for a quarterback, and whoever takes Kyler Murray, say it's Arizona, screws up their quarterback to the point where they're taking another one next year at number one, and this guy's available now, like Josh Rosen. If you did your diligence on Josh Rosen last year, you're now in a position to decide, do we want to go after this guy who is only going to be owed $6 million cash for the next 4 years,
Right.
and would be probably the best asset you could get out there for a late first, early second round.
Yeah, that's a perfect point. That way, you already know about every player, every situation. You're vetting everybody. So if a Josh Rosen comes up, well, you already know exactly what you got, and you've already got your opinion. You're going to like him. You're not going to like him.
Why is this guy falling? Is the one thing you never want to hear in a draft.
That's right. And the other thing, to your point, Kelly, about you don't know what's going to happen in the future. This quarterback might be available a year from now, like Rosen may be this year. Is this 2019 season, and I think he'll respond well, just let me say this, is a referendum on Derek Carr. He now has the tools. He's got receivers. He's hopefully going to have a better line. They need to fill the offensive guard, which we're going to talk about later. But he's going to have more tools. And his second year in an offense, so the level of excuses are gone. There's no more crutches, right? So he's going to be healthy. I think he's going to respond and have a great season. But to me, this will be his year on whether or not he's going to be the long-term future of the franchise.
I don't think it's necessarily a make it or break it year. You know, the successful teams across the board, but especially in the NFL, you see longevity, you see stability. So, you got teams like the Patriots, the Steelers, the Saints. They've had the same coach and the same quarterback. So let's just keep this together.
Yeah, but the contract.
Their quarterbacks are good.
Our quarterback is good.
But the quarterback, but with Carr, the Raiders have a financial reason if he doesn't perform to the level, whatever their I don't know what their expectation is, but whatever their expectation is, if he doesn't perform to that level this year, this is the year to say goodbye, because then they'll save a ton of money, because his deal was backloaded for when they got to Nevada.
Right, I understand that part. But let's just give it, as long as he performs as well as he did this year, I'm sure they'd want to see a little bit more. I don't know, with the division and we do still have a tough schedule, so I doubt we even make the playoffs. But I know it.
Yeah, so good point. I mean, and Chaz is our optimist, which is always good, and I agree. Derek Carr, if you look at the statistics last year, had an amazing year. A lot of people overlooked that, but we'll talk about that and the importance of statistics. See, you can't say, what was it?
Due diligence.
I couldn't say statistics today.
Dilly.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, we're going to step aside. When we come back from the break, Mo Moton from Bleacher Report will join us. If you're on the phones with a phone call, hang on. We'll get to you in just a few minutes. You're listening to Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Hey, this is Rodney Hudson. You're listening to Silver and Black Today.
Indeed you are. Welcome back to Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio. And we've been talking about the Raiders possibly trading up or selecting a quarterback in the first round at number 4. And we wanted to we talked about that, and we said, listen, it's either they're definitely interested, and why wouldn't you be, right? Because Kyler Murray's a talented athlete, talented quarterback, and if you really like him, go get him. On the other side of that coin, and this is a philosophy and an opinion that I tend to agree with more, and that is that Mayock and Gruden are playing a big game of chess. They got their big chessboard out, and they're playing. And Mo Moton from Fansided and Bleacher Report joins us now to talk about that. He wrote a column about the Raider situation, calling it quarterback smokescreen to land Quinnen Williams, ? Mo, thanks for joining us here again on Silver and Black Today.
Appreciate you having me on. I guess we're going to talk about what Raider fans have been talking about all season. Seth Roberts getting released, right?
That's a good point.
I'm going to have to do another eulogy.
That's a good point, because it's really, to me, it's been very strange, Mo, how Raider Nation was so enthusiastic about him being released over the last couple of years. I guess because he didn't catch that many balls or drop the balls, whatever their opinion was. But it's a good one.
Yeah, it's shocking. A wide receiver that drops a lot of footballs, the fans aren't crazy about having him on the roster.
Imagine that. Yeah. So, it's just I think Raider fans have a lot more to worry about than Seth Roberts. But anyway, that's just me.
We got Seth Roberts 2.0 now, man, Ryan Grant.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, that's a different conversation. All right, Mo, let's get to you in the limited time we have. So in your column here, you say that this might actually be a masterstroke of strategy here by the brass at the Raiders to go get the guy that I really want them to draft, and that's Quinnen Williams. Tell folks why you believe that.
I believe this is okay. I'm going to go here with it. I think it's 75% smokescreen, 25% preparation. And I know Mike Mayock said due diligence. I know Kelly couldn't say it, due diligence, but it is what it is. And I think every NFL team does their due diligence, and you have to prepare for every situation. What if Kyler Murray falls to number 4? What if Dwayne Haskins falls to number 4? What do you do if a team wants to trade up? You have to, and I think you mentioned this on air, what if the Denver Broncos trade up for one of those two quarterbacks?
Right.
Well, the Chargers find their franchise quarterback after Phillip Rivers, who's in a contract year this year. I know he wants to play, but still you have to know these players just in case he lands in your division. I think you mentioned that. But the other thing is, these are two guys, Mike Mayock and John Gruden, who've been on TV before they got their jobs. So if anyone knows how to play the media, I think they would. So I think you mentioned this as well. As soon as John Gruden mentions Kyler Murray, everyone's ears perks up. Oh, he's going to take Kyler Murray because he knows that everyone feels like he's a quarterback crazy person. He loves his quarterbacks. He loves to evaluate them. So using that, he's going to say, okay, if I mention Kyler Murray, if I just throw a name out there and say I like Kyler Murray, people are going to run to that. The other part of this is the Jets or the general manager, Mike McCagan, has said that he's open to trading down from the third spot. So if you do the math, if a team says, hey, I want to grab Kyler Murray or I want to grab Haskins before the Raiders do, let's jump in front of them to the number 3 spot, trade with the Jets, grab a quarterback. In that scenario, it's more than likely that Quinnen Williams would drop to 4 to the Raiders. So, and I think the Raiders understand this. Mike Mayock being a savvy person, despite what people may think about Gruden, he's not a stupid person. He knows what he's doing. And I think this is the game that the Raiders are playing. You mentioned the chessboard, and I said it in my article. He's going to be Chessmaster Chucky. If this goes down the way they're planning it, Chessmaster Chucky is in business. Yeah,
I see a T-shirt design in your future with Chessmaster Chucky. Again, when you look at Quinnen Williams, Mo, 6'3", 303 pounds, interior pass rush. You look at what Mike Mayock said about the importance of an interior pass rush when everybody's focused on the Raiders' needed edge. If you can get a guy, and you mentioned it too in there, that he's sort of having visions of Warren Sapp in his head, of course, John Gruden from his Tampa Bay days. Talk about why Quinnen Williams is the guy that they may be most enamored with at the top end of that draft.
If you look at it, most people would assume, and a lot of reports are coming out, that Nick Bosa is going to go to the 49ers. There are some questions about whether Josh Allen's fit. And I know in my article I mentioned I had Matt Miller from Bleacher Report, basically his rumor there. And I think when you look at it, people are so focused on the defensive end position. I understand you need players at that position. But and I've said this before, your best pass rusher doesn't have to come off the edge. Your best pass rusher can come on the interior. Look at Aaron Donald. Chris Jones lined up in between the edge rushers in Kansas City. Your best pass rusher can be on the inside. I think that's what you get in Quinnen Williams. Again, I believe he had 8 sacks this year at Alabama. I saw a redshirt sophomore. Think about that. A redshirt sophomore getting his role at Alabama where they pump out NFL prospects every year. For him to rise at that age at Alabama, it's a big deal. So when people say, 1 year wonder, can he do it again? I think he'll be fine. He has room to grow, and I think his upside is there. And I think if the Raiders were to land him, their pass rush would be a lot better. So I think he's the guy there. And I know a lot of people like Josh Allen because defensive end, wide side defensive end, but I think Quinnen Williams is the guy you want at number 4.
Hey, Mo, it's Kelly here. It's funny because I've had Quinnen Williams going to the Raiders for months. I think he's my number 1 player in this draft. And while we're sitting here talking about all this smoke screen and the Jets wanting to move down and everything, and the thought just popped into my head: what if somebody trades up to 3 to take Quinnen Williams? It's like, because if you Atlanta, they're number 1 this year, number 1 next year. You put Atlanta on that defensive line, it's what they're. Well, I've just got all these things running through my head. Besides that, I was like, but My question for you, I mean, I think it's a smokescreen too. I don't think they're going Murray. I'm not sure with all the additions they made, you want to throw that rookie in there. But what if, say, at 24, Drew Lock falls all the way down there? Do you think Gruden can pass him up at that point? Because I think at that point it's such a bargain for him to get his guy that I don't think he could help himself.
I think it really depends on what the Raiders do with the fourth pick. Because if you didn't draft an edge guy with your fourth pick and you went elsewhere, so let's say you did draft another player, like just throw a name out there, DK Metcalf. Not going to happen. Let's say they did, though. You're going to have to fill that position at 24, especially if a Cleveland Farrell is there. So let's say Cleveland Farrell drops to 24, and then you're looking at a Drew Lock. Do you draft your strong side defensive end, or do you go with a quarterback while you supposedly have your franchise quarterback on the roster already? So, again, we can go through these hypotheticals, but you have to go by what's available. And you follow your big board. But at the point of 24, I think Gruden will always consider, should we draft a quarterback here? Should we draft a quarterback here? Should we draft a quarterback here? But I don't think Drew Lock is the guy. I like Drew Lock, but I don't love him at 24, even if Gruden likes him. To me, the Raiders have so many needs. Just leave the quarterback position alone until you get to round 4. If you want to draft a quarterback of the future potentially, or groom a guy for a year behind Carr, wait until the middle round to do it, especially if you know you're going to roll with Carr at least for another year.
Yeah, and again, we're talking to Mo Moton from Fansided and Bleacher Report on his column about the Raiders, perhaps pretty much putting up a smokescreen here to get Quinnen Williams and not Kyler Murray. When you look at the situation with Carr, and I know we talked about it during the season, Mo, I think people take it, and Raider fans, you've seen, right, on Twitter, how there's the two camps, and they're very passionate either way, saying either Derek Carr is the answer or Derek Carr is not the answer. What I find interesting, though, is how toxic it gets, and how the polarization around Derek Carr, even after he had a good year last year, technically, has gotten even more and more polarizing. Why do you think that is? Do you think that's because the thought and a lot of the reporting we're seeing is that Gruden is not necessarily convinced that he's the guy that's going to go long-term, and we don't know that he actually thinks that, but that's the chatter?
If you look at Gruden's history, and I'm just going to go back a little bit, when he was at the helm in Tampa Bay, he had 5 different primary starters, and a lot of teams didn't win games. He had young stars. He had guys like Chris Sims. He had older guys like Brian Greasy. His first stint with the Raiders, of course, he had Gannon, but those teams were winning games, and Gannon was an All-Pro one of those years and a Pro Bowler 2 of those years. So when you look at it, people say, well, give Carr a chance. The passionate people say, give Carr a chance, and I agree with them. Give him this year. You brought in AB. You now have Trent Brown protecting him, so he shouldn't get sacked 51 times. You got Terrell Williams, and I think they're going to draft another slot guy in the draft to complete the 3 wide receiver set. The camp that's not so happy about Derek Carr starting another year is the camp that has watched Derek Carr, and I see this criticism a lot, and to an extent I do agree with it. He's skittish in the pocket. And I think what a lot of people are worried about is that he doesn't have the pocket presence that he should have going into his 6th year in the league. Derek Carr is not a rookie. This is not his 2nd or 3rd year. You would want to see progression through the years, and I think fans who are against Carr starting for this team long term just don't see the progression that they see from other players around the league. If you think about it, Patrick Mahomes has already come in and lit up the league MVP, and they're looking at him. They're looking at Phillip Rivers in the division and saying, okay, where's Derek Carr's huge jump year? I know some people say, well, statistically, he's had a good year here. He's had a decent year there. But we haven't seen peak Derek Carr since 2016. And at some point, as we move further away from 2016, we have to see more from him, because we can't hang on to that 1 year and say, this is the player he is over time, because it's not the truth.
No, consistent.
So I get both sides, but I think he deserves 1 more year.
Yeah, and consistency is true. And I said earlier in the show, Mo, that I think if the Raiders don't draft a quarterback high, which I don't think they will, this becomes a referendum on the long-term viability of Carr as the Raiders starting quarterback. Do you agree with that?
I agree. And I'll say this. This, to me, I know we've said this last year, maybe the year before, and I know people argue this, is this Derek Carr's make or break year? Make no mistake about it. This is a no excuse year for Derek Carr. You have AB in his prime at market value. You got to throw in, they reloaded the wide receiver. They gave the wide receiver position a whole facelift. And I think they're going to draft a tight end early in the draft. Don't be surprised if you get Noah Fant or you get TJ Hockenson if he falls, Irv Smith Jr., Josh Oliver is a guy I like. But I think they're going to draft a tight end. And I think this is going to be Derek Carr's biggest year. If he falls flat, if he face plants this year, just remember Jake Fromm, Justin Herbert, Tua, they could all come out next year, and I think you're going to be tempted to take one of those guys if Derek Carr isn't what he expects.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys there, and I agree with you, Mo. Mo Moton from Fansided and, of course, Bleacher Report as well. Mo, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate the time.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Mo.
All right, Mo Moton, one of our favorite guys. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll close out hour number 1 here on Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Radio.
Rich Perez with Nationwide Sports. Listen in and join the Rich Nation.
The only way to take Silver and Black today with you is with the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
All right, welcome back to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio. Scott Branson joined by Kelly Kreiner and Chaz Osborne. That's the team we roll with. Another team you can roll with, of course, is the Raiders and the Raiders Foundation, the Celebrity Swing on May 8th at Topgolf. Join the Raiders Foundation and community leaders to celebrate the second annual Celebrity Swing event on Wednesday, May 8th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at Las Vegas Topgolf. Guests will enjoy an interactive evening of golf, food, and cocktails with Raiders alumni, including Hall of Famers, trust me, and team personnel. Hosted by the Raiders Foundation, Celebrity Swing will support local nonprofit Community in Schools of Southern Nevada. To commit today or to learn more about the Raiders Foundation Celebrity Swing sponsorship opportunities, please visit RaidersFoundation.org. The Raiders Foundation does so much in this community, and the event on May 8th to benefit the schools is a great one, and I know close to the hearts of many in town who know how much our schools need help here. Okay, well, and we are now, of course, it's that part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, where we go to our franchise fan, our franchise caller, and that is, of course, Wally in Henderson. Wally, thanks, and appreciate you calling in to the Silver and Black today.
Hey, Gully, how you doing?
Doing well, brother. What do you got for us today?
And I'm tired of all these morons trying to run Carr out of town. This is just ridiculous. We haven't had a great quarterback since Gannon, and guess who made Gannon great? It was Chucky. Yeah. This is going to be Gannon Part 2. All we need is an offensive line. Remember when he had an offensive line? He led the league in third down conversion percentage by a big margin. I mean, this is so stupid. What, we're going to draft some little 5'10" Smurf? The first free safety that hits him, he's going to get broken in two.
Well,
that's just insane.
Well, yeah, Wally. No, and Gary, I agree with you on Carr. As I've said all along, and last season I got criticized a lot for when you defend Derek Carr, you get called a Carr apologist, as I've learned. So if that's what people want to label me, I don't care. Then do it. But so I don't disagree with you there. At the same time, the whole reason we're talking about this is because it's not I know you think it's crazy, but at the very least, them doing their due diligence, Kelly, is good because you increase the value of your pick, you increase the value of the player, which might end up, as Mo Moton just recommended or said, that means that you might get a better player because if someone does take Kyler Murray in the top 3 picks, one of those guys that you want is going to fall to you, right?
Yeah. And another thing, they're talking about one quarterback contract hamstrings you. Where were all these people when they were going to pay the linebacker and the wide receiver damn near quarterback money? Talk about one contract. They can't pay everybody. So some guys you just got to let go when they want that big money.
No, that's true. And Wally, man, thanks again for your call. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, I'm sure.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Chaz, pick up your damn skateboard.
Oh, man.
I'm out.
Meatloaf.
Pick up the skateboard.
We want the meatloaf now.
Skateboard.
Wedding Crashers?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I love it.
the
okay.
meatloaf.
Wally always brings his A game. We appreciate you listening. Call. Make sure you call in 702-889-5978. Would you like the Raiders to take Kyler Murray or another quarterback, Dwayne Haskins? Vic Tafer up at the Athletic in the Bay Area says that from what he hears in one of his stories this week, that Gruden and the Raiders actually like Haskins better. So maybe they shock the world even more, Kelly, and take somebody like that.
I mean, at this point, will anything surprise you? I mean, when you look at it, it's and that's the other thing. If you're doing a smokescreen, you throw everybody's name out there in case the one team that believes you're going to take them, they have to jump up there.
Yeah, there's no question, and I think that there's so many needs that the Raiders have, and so if they can increase the value of the first round picks that they do have, you got to do that because it just gives you the freedom. And again, the biggest unknown of all, and all these opinions that we spout, others in the industry talk about, and you see from fans on Twitter, they really don't mean a whole hell of a lot because when you get to draft day, all kinds of things start happening. And so what the Raiders do there and what they might do, they might trade up and grab him and then trade the player for more picks. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy scenarios that can happen. So if Raider fans, make sure on draft day, I think you all have to sit back and wait. I know that's hard when you've been waiting 18 years for your team to do better, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot happening.
This situation, I don't think you're going to have to wait till draft day because Josh Rosen's got to be gone from Arizona if they're truly taking Kyler Murray because that bridge has already been burnt. I think there's no trust in that organization with him unless they've made the ultimate smokescreen and they're like, hey, dude, listen, we're not getting rid of you. You're going to be hearing all this stuff because there's just been too much going on there for him to go back in OTAs, him to go back in meetings and be like, yeah, we might still get rid of you.
All right, well, we're going to step aside for the top of the hour sports update. When we come back, we're going to talk about those Raider needs, including that big gaping hole at left guard and how they address that in the draft, as well as the wide receiver core and more. You are listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back right after this.
The most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black as they set their sights on Las Vegas for 2020. Live from the CBS Sports Radio 1140 studios, it's Silver and Black today. Join the conversation by calling 702-889-5978. Now, here's Scott Gulbranson.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of the show gets rolling. I want to say thank you again to Kevin at the Raider Nation Rochester Club. If you're watching on TV, I'm going to unzip my jacket here. You could check out the T-shirt they sent me. We're repping them here in Las Vegas and hope to see them when the stadium's open, coming out as a group. Get out of that cold weather. Come enjoy our
perfect weather,
our 6-month summer, which is starting to kick off. So thanks to them again for sending the shirt out as well. Also, guys, it's not surprising. I'm watching the chat in because we're live on video in Facebook, Twitter /Periscope, as well as YouTube, and getting a lot of, why are you guys even talking about this? Just the media wants to drum this up and blah, 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 blah. Stop talking about it. You guys are idiots. Now, okay, so Chaz says you're right.
It's April.
It's April. It's April, number one. But also, number two, if you're listening to the show, I think a lot of people are reacting to tweets and conversation online, and they're not listening to the show and hearing that we have all said that we don't think it should happen, number one, and don't think it will, but you have to talk about the possibility, right? But what we want to do, too, is remind you of a couple things. Number one is coming up Wednesday, we have a special promotion we're going to be out there Wednesday night at Moneyline Sports Bar and Book at the Park MGM. Watch hockey with us. The Golden Knights will be taking on the San Jose Sharks in the first game of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the first round there as well. The party is open to the public, starts at 7 on Wednesday. And our friends at Saturday Sports Beat, Tony Cardasco, is going to be giving away 4 VIP packages. Just follow Beat Rich_Saturday on Twitter, and they're going to pick from their new followers a package which includes food, beverage for you and a guest at the party, free entry to the after party at On the Record, which is the new nightclub there, plus a basket filled with Training Day beer, Abel Baker ducks and stickers and Moneyline stickers and more. And, of course, we'll be out there with Ryan Reeves, 7'5", the defenseman for the Golden Knights as well. You could win a Ryan Reeves signed piece of merchandise as well. So come party with us, the Golden Knight fans, Wednesday night, at Moneyline Sports Bar and Park at the Park MGM. All right, guys, so let's jump in now to a little more about the rest of what the Raiders need. If you look at the players that will be available, for the sake of argument, we have to make some assumptions here. If the Raiders do select at number 4, so no movement happens, and they stay where they're at with the 4th pick, as we said earlier with Mo, we'd love to see them grab Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is gone. Are you going to go edge there? We heard last week Emery Hunt saying that he would go with Rashawn Gary. We've seen some people say that. We've heard Devin White. Kelly, if things stay where they're at, who do they grab there at 4?
I think if Allen's there at 4, they go Allen. If for some reason Murray ends up not going to Arizona and it's Bosa, Allen, and Williams in some form of there, it could be Devin White. I mean, he's one of those guys at a position of need. I know they got Marshall, but I mean, he's not long term. Devin White's a special player. I mean, this is a kid who's still just learning how to play linebacker, and he's the best linebacker in the draft.
Chaz, what about you? What do you think?
It's just going to be best available, like we've always talked about. They're lining up their draft board for the whole year, and these combines and these workouts, that's like 10% of the equation.
Is that true? When you were working out players in the NBA, when you were a scout for the Lakers, is that how you looked at it?
Absolutely. You base it on the whole body of work. You don't just all of a sudden they have a great combine or they have a great workout and you just we've seen it before. All of a sudden a guy jumps from the 3rd or 2nd round into the 1st round, and you want to hear that. If he's a good interview, he's got a great head on his shoulders, and he can get up on the board and run all the plays that you just told him. Okay, well, there is something to that. But for the most part, you watch these guys for a full season, and you know what they can do, you know what they're about, and that's 80% of it. You've already got your board pretty much where you want it, so you're going to go best available.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that. I think you do. We talked about it. You have need, but talent of a player. Talent from a player of a player trumps need, in my view. We want to hear what you guys have to think. 702-889-5978, and we have John from Kentucky. Again, we are nationwide, worldwide on the radio.com app, and John is clearly listening to us there. John, you're on Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio in Las Vegas. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good, man.
That's good. That's good to hear. All right, so let's get down to business real quick about this draft, all right? Real quick about Kyler Murray, man, there's no doubt about it that Gruden likes Kyler Murray, but I just don't see him trying to jump all the way up to pick number 1 to go get him. Unless the Cardinals, for some reason, is unleashing the biggest smoke screen that we've ever seen. If for some reason Kyler Murray did not go to the Cardinals, and it was somebody else, then I would get a little worried. I would get a little nervous.
So
I don't think Gruden's gonna jump up and waste his time, because the thing about it is, from round 2 on up, you got a 71 pick gap from pick 35 all the way up to pick 106, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no need for Gruden to give up any more real estate for that matter when we're trying to get picks and we're trying to build this team. Their best bet is to either get the best player on the board available at that time, which is, I'm hoping, a defensive player like my guy Josh Allen from Kentucky, who I feel like could fit in a 4-3 defense, though some people might disagree with that. Their best bet is to go that route.
Yeah,
or they could trade down and get more picks.
Well, and I like that, and Kelly has talked about that. And this is, of course, Johnny Pham. If you follow him on Twitter, Johnny, man, it sounds good. And by the way, how did the pork butt come out yesterday?
It came out great as always, man. You guys are missing out on greatness here, man.
I'm doing ribs today, man. So next week is brisket. But Johnny, I agree with you. And Kelly has been one, and we've talked a lot about off the air about this the last week and a half. Kelly, what Johnny's saying is that there's a big gap between pick 35 in the second round, and 100 and what was it, Johnny?
106.
106. So I think Kelly agrees with you, right, Johnny?
Yeah,
that it could happen that they trade and get picks.
Yeah, I think one of the either 24 or 27, if they can get something where they get a second and a third or a couple, maybe even like the one I brought up with the Colts. The Colts have 2 second-round picks. I'm not sure if the late second they have is enough to move up, say, 7 to 10 picks for the 24 27 from that early second-round pick. But I think they're really going to shop that because, especially in like certain places that the Raiders need, that's going to dry up pretty quick in that second and third round. So that 71 pick gap is huge for them in building the roster.
There's so many scenarios that could happen.
Yeah, and Johnny, I like Josh Allen there. For some reason, though, unless they trade out of the spot, I feel convinced the Jets are going to grab him.
Honestly, it could go either way. There's things I'm reading. There's rumblings I'm hearing behind the scenes. I'm hearing the Jets are kind of torn between Quinnen Williams and Josh Allen right now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, no doubt.
It will be. Johnny, I appreciate you calling in, man. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right, take care of yourself.
All right, it's Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny.
From Kentucky calling in to talk Raider football. And
Josh Allen.
He had a good take there. And, of course, yeah, he's in Kentucky, so Josh Allen, he knows him well. He's watched him a lot. I like Josh Allen, too. I mean, if you're going edge, again, if it's between him and Quinnen Williams, which I find it hard to believe that both would be there at 4, I'm enamored with the inside and Williams' upside because they have only scratched the surface with that kid.
Yeah.
You know more of what you're getting with Quinnen Williams because you're playing him at a D tackle. He played at a D tackle, where Allen's if you run a 3-4, Allen is perfect for your system because he can drop in coverage, he can play on the line, he can rush off the edge. So there is some you're not quite sure what you're going to get when you slap him just on the end of a line. Right. So I mean that's why I could see some people just the growth he had from last year to this year is just if you're a defensive line coach, that has to excite you.
Yeah. And you're betting on upside.
Well, yeah, you are. And I still think
that gets you fired though.
Yeah. That's true. Not when you have a 10-year contract.
Or get you accolade.
But I think there are some guys too when you look at kind of the big board. A guy I think who could rise up. I'm not saying that the Raiders would take him, but a guy I see climbing the charts, if you will, is Byron Murphy, the cornerback out of Washington, who is Kelly's got an opinion. I can see it. He's like, let me spit it out.
No, he's actually starting to fall a little bit because people are if you play a lot of zone, he's your man. If you're looking for kind of a press man, they're worried about the size and the press man. So yeah, he's starting. It's one of those things. He's kind of starting to fall a little bit to where he was.
Well, you like him or Greedy Williams better?
Oh no, I like Byron Murphy's my number 1.
Yeah,
but
not in the top 10.
To where I thought he could have been like at a Detroit or something like that.
Yeah,
you're starting to see him later in the mid to late first round now.
Oh, okay.
So the biggest mistake that teams make in the draft is reaching for need, and that's we're in a good position because we've got need at every position.
Drafting a point guard with a crazy father.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Did we need that?
Did you draft a point guard with a crazy father? Oh, yeah, that's right. Your former.
I was a month away from.
He's like, I dodged that.
Tagged with that one.
You got away from that one. That's funny. Okay, well, we are up against another break where we're going to pay some bills, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on the Raiders' need and look at some players in the draft that they might target. Of course, we're just taking shots in the dark, but that's what we're going to do. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio in Las Vegas. Stay right where you are.
Sign up today for a new William Hill mobile sports account.
Hey, this is Tim Brown, Hall of Famer. You're listening to Silver and Black today.
Welcome back, Raider Nation. We appreciate it. Man, it is going crazy. We've been just jamming through the show, but I'm watching the conversation over on our live YouTube feed, and it's all good. And Mr. Smith, who's been coming in with questions, he says, by the way, Kelly, he thinks Greedy Williams is better because Byron Murphy does not have the catch-up speed, relaying his comment. And he wishes he could call in, but I'm living overseas now for the past 4 years. Mr. Smith, let us know where you're at, man. I want to give you a call out, and we love when we get international listeners. We get a lot of men and women who serve our country in Afghanistan and other places around the world have called in, or I should say have chatted in at least, because, I know it's tough to make a phone call out there, but we appreciate you being with us. But great conversation. A lot of Raider Nation on Raider Nation violence happening.
What?
Ooh.
Can't we all just get along?
The Murray thing, and now they're arguing about pass rusher versus interior pass rusher. This is the great thing about Raider Nation, right, is everybody is passionate, and they bring it every time.
Yep.
Kelly, you're going to say something?
I was going to say, to the point earlier about Greedy's catch-up speed, you only need catch-up speed when you get burnt. If you keep up with the guy or keep him in front of you, catch-up speed's not an issue.
Well, there you go, Mr. Smith, somewhere around the world, and they'll tell us where at some point. Ketchup speed. Is
ketchup
that like,
comes out of the bottle so slow.
I don't put ketchup on my hot dogs. I'm from Chicago, dude.
His catch-up speed is good, but it's once he gets there, it's his, just him at the top of the route. His ball recognition, and it's not good.
Yeah, and Mr. Smith came back, and he is in the Air Force. He's a veteran studying in Thailand with the GI Bill. Good,
nice,
good deal, man.
What city?
What city? He wants to know what city. He'll tell us.
I was just there.
Chaz was just there. You could have met up with Chaz.
Yep. We could have watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he would have bought you. He would have bought you dinner and 6:30 Super Bowl.
6:30 in the morning. I was watching the Super Bowl over there.
That's right. Okay, well, we're going to get back to talking about the Raiders and their needs and what's happening. Again, want to let you know about a special promotion. Of course, on Wednesday night, we're going to be out at the Moneyline Sports Bar and Book at Park MGM. Watch the Golden Knights with us 7:30 p.m. You can come in at 7 o'clock. Party's open to the public. If you follow beat_Saturday, that's our brothers from the Saturday Sports Beat on Saturdays from 8 to 10 on the station. If you follow them, you can win a basket, a gift basket. VIP gets you entrance into the after party at the new On the Record nightclub. Basket filled with Training Day beers, Abel Baker Duck stickers, and more. So that will be randomly picked. So do that. You can also win a Ryan Reeves signed piece of merchandise. So come out, party with us in the Golden Knights Wednesday night and watch the game. All right. Guys, okay, so we look at what else the Raiders need here, and I wanted to touch a little bit on the wide receiver core. Mo Moton mentioned it a little earlier, saying that he expects them to draft another slot receiver. You look at the addition of A.B. Grant, who Kelly has some personal vendetta against. No, just kidding. He's a former Colt.
No, I don't have a personal vendetta.
You say you can't catch.
He's just not very good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the Redskins, who have no wide receivers, let him go. Baltimore,
but isn't that why he's with the Raiders? Is because of the Gruden brothers situation? Obviously, Jay liked him for some reason. Didn't they let him go because of money? It wasn't because of
because of
injury,
the $2.5 million they could have re-signed him for. They didn't.
I think the Redskins had a huge contract. on the table,
Baltimore signed him for a 4-year deal, which was way too much. It's 4-year, $29 million, which was insanity.
That is crazy.
But they found an injury, air quotes, on a radio show, and got out of the contract
physical.
the second that Crabtree got cut, and they signed Crabtree.
Right.
So basically, they're like, this was a stupid contract. Let's use this to get out of it. And then he had 1 year for the Colts where I believe he had about 34 catches for 400 yards and a touchdown with one of the best quarterbacks in football on a team with no number 2 wide receiver. Okay. Yeah, let's give it.
So there's
There's my rant.
Your assessment
of bad wide receiver signings
of Ryan Grant. But clearly, if you look at the wide receivers that are coming out in the draft, and I'm just getting my notes because I do a ton of prep for the show and I always have stuff. And here is the guy, Kelly. I'm holding it up to the camera. Kelly is enamored with, and that is Greg Dortch from Wake Forest. Tell us about Greg Dortch and what would he do to complement what's already in Oakland?
Well, first off, he's going to be your punt returner, so special teams are locked down. He is electric at that. I mean, he's probably a slot-only wide receiver because he's not a big dude. He is on the small side, but he's got good speed, great route runner. He'll catch, great hands. To me, if you've got him and AB on one side or him and Tyrell Williams, he's just going to be you're not going to have many linebackers that are going to stay with him. So you're going to have to throw the safety on there, which if we get a tight end out there, will open all that up. It's you just watch him; he's electric.
And what's the chances that the Raiders can actually grab him? And where do they do it?
Man, I've seen him everywhere from 4 to 7 to undrafted. Like late, he's a day 3 guy, which to me, if 4th round, I'd take him in a heartbeat. But I don't think you'll have to get him. But he's going to be that. I think he's going to be that guy that in 3 years everybody's going to be like, "How did this guy go where he went?"
And why? Why do you think he's underrated?
Got the wrist injury, so he hasn't been able to work out a lot. Hasn't been able to do a full complement of his stuff. I think he ran a little slower time at the pro day than people were expecting. But when you have a wrist injury and you're not really doing anything, trying to hop back in, watch the tape. I don't care about your 40 if I see the speed on tape. And if you watch his tape, he's more quick than fast, and that's what I want out of my slot wide receiver.
There's no doubt. And to me, though, let's get into one of the biggest needs, I think, that the Raiders, and not everybody talks about because it's not a sexy position, right, but vital to success, especially with what they have going at tackle, and that's left guard. They traded Kelechi Osemele to the Jets, and so that creates a hole. Let me ask you guys this. Is there somebody already on the team that can address the need at left guard? I'll ask that question. And if not, who's the best guy, or who would you think that they would have the opportunity to go nab in the draft to address that position?
Chaz Green is the answer. I just don't know. I don't know what
because his name.
No, we love Chaz Green. He's had his share of injuries and disappointing games. Hopefully the switch will turn on soon enough, and he'll be a great player. But for now, he's a good backup. Was it Denzel Good? Came in last year and played those final 3 games. We claimed him off of waivers, and he filled in for Gabe Jackson with that elbow injury. So I think
you need some of my coffee, man.
I know. I do need to start drinking coffee.
We got to get you up.
The show's way too early in the morning. The one thing I did hear the coaching staffs were talking up at the Senior Bowl was the kid from Kansas State.
Dalton Reisner.
Yeah.
He can play. I mean, he can play. He could play all 5 offensive line in a pinch. Left tackle, not the best, for him. I think he's a plug and play right tackle, guard, center, anywhere there. He'd be a possibility. I'm wondering, is Brandon Parker too big and
for left guard
or right guard, and then move Gabe Jackson over?
Ooh,
So
I like
it's
that.
like I'm wondering if 6'8", that's a big dude to
big
play
dude.
guard. So I'm not sure if that'll work.
No, Brandon Parker. I know he struggled last year, but I think he's going to be a good player.
But he's not a tackle anymore now. He's going to be a backup tackle. He's going to be.
I know.
So it's like, can you?
And by the way, he's been living with Gabe Jackson, working out during the off season,
exactly. That's only
and so you might be onto something there, Kelly. There might be something afoot.
It's just, but 6'8", 310 or whatever. That's a big guard.
Yeah, it is.
And you want your guard to be more of that, like not so much like I'm trying to think how to describe it. He's got good feet, good hands, all that stuff like that. But it's like right at the point of attack, he's not the greatest. He's more of the athletic type than the mauler type, and you want your guard to be more of the mauler type.
Well, and a guy, and Kelly, we were talking about this before the show started, but a guy I really like in the draft, and I got to chart it. I don't know where he'd be available, especially with the Raiders having that big gap after that first pick in the second round, and that's Tyrone Prescott from North Carolina State. And I just like his overall play, what he's able to do. He's good run blocker, good pass blocker, and to me, you said, well, that's because he plays next to the best center.
Yeah.
And I said, I agree, but also the Raiders have a pretty good center, so he might fit in pretty good there. What is it about Prescott that makes him good, and what concerns would you have if the Raiders could somehow get some draft picks and maybe pick him up?
The only main concern I have with the guard position for Oakland is I think you want somebody that's plug and play to fill out that offensive line instead of somebody that you're looking. I don't think you're looking for a 2 or 3 year project. If I'm going guard, if I don't think I have it on the team, I want somebody at 27 or 34 that from day one I'm sitting in there right now. Prescott you brought up, I think he's a day 3 guy.
Yeah.
So I mean the Raiders would have a chance to get him, but if for me offensive line's too important to take a developmental guy. If I can take him early and maybe a developmental safety or a developmental corner or a linebacker, I'm wanting to go that way.
That makes sense. But I think that they have to look at options, what they're going to do. And to your point, moving Gabe Jackson, if you have another option, Brandon Parker, you're right. He's huge to play guard.
Yeah.
And so that would be my concern. So then it's a question of, is there someone else there? So I think they're going to have trouble finding in the draft a guy that's plug and play with where they're at now. Now, a lot can change depending on where picks go, right? But you look at Chris Brown out of USC and some of the other guys, Budwig out of Florida International. Those are guys I like, but I think they're not plug and play. I think they're going to need some development.
Oh, no, yeah, I agree with that. And the kid from Wisconsin, Bo Benchwa or whatever, he seems to be kind of falling in the draft. He was a guy that I thought was going to be like a day 2 type of a guy, and he's fallen. So, I mean, he might be a guy that you can go after.
All right, good conversation. Thanks, Kelly and Chaz. We're going to step aside for a break. When we come back at the bottom of the hour here, we're going to talk Kelly's Corner. He's got something to say, and he's going to say it loud and proud. We'll be back. You're listening to Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
CBS Sports Radio. This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gulbranson.
All right, Raider Nation, what a show. Great callers today. Everybody's fired up about the Raiders and possibility of taking a quarterback or not taking a quarterback. I love the people who are just going nuts on the Silver and Black Today, saying that we're trying to push this. Listen to the show. No excuse. Call in. 702.
None of us want Murray.
702-889-5978. 702-889-5978. Call in. Come on, have some cojones. By the way, join the Raiders Foundation and community leaders to celebrate the 2nd annual Celebrity Swing event on Wednesday, May 8th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at Las Vegas Top Golf. Guests will enjoy an interactive evening of food, cocktails with the Raiders alumni and team personnel hosted by the Raiders Foundation. Celebrity Swing will support local nonprofit community and schools of Southern Nevada to commit today. That's right. It takes a commitment to excellence. Or to learn more about the Raiders Foundation Celebrity Swing sponsorship opportunities, please visit RaidersFoundation.org. Okay, Kelly, this is your big one shining moment. I'll use that since we're in the middle of the NCAA tournament. I wish they would kind of update that song. But anyway,
timeless.
It's Kelly's Corner, and Kelly's got, I think, a good subject today that I have a lot to go on that I haven't talked about on the air, and I'll tell you about in a second. Kelly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like 10 different things you could go off about this. Originally I was going to bring up the thing with the AAF. As we all know now, it's folded. And my
suspended operation.
Oh, no, it's done.
I know.
Flat out
I love when they said that at first.
And originally it was going to be, anytime you have a business, anytime you're doing anything, the most important thing is not having money or getting money.
Really?
It's getting money from the right people.
There you go, the right investor.
Basically, it just seems like the Hurricanes owner bought into this stuff with no intention of actually making a run at this to try to get at some of the intellectual property and everything. If it folded, which it did, and it turns out MGM gets that anyway. That could be wrong, but I mean, that's kind of out there. But then everything else started coming out about the players that had to pay for their own flights back home. The one player in Birmingham who came out who had a $2,500 charge on his credit card for the hotel the team was staying at that the team was no longer going to be paying for. I mean, the guys that are injured are now on the hook for their own rehab, for their own medical bills.
Right.
And I heard of the stadium, too, in Orlando. I think the stadium.
The stadium's $1 million. UCF is out. San Antonio between the stadium vendors and everything like that's like $4 million.
Right.
I mean, how something can get this screwed up is just mind-boggling to me.
And that's the thing is, it's having a league, even as small as it technically was compared to the NFL, it's hard. It takes a lot of effort. That's the one thing I'll say about the XFL is they're taking their time. It seems like the AAF was rushed because you got a Ebersol and a Poli and everybody thought it was going to be successful. Guess what, folks? There's a lot of things involved. And if it was any indication, dealing with the teams, we had a couple former Raiders on our show who played in the AAF, tried to book others. I'm still waiting for calls. Now I know why. They weren't getting paid.
I don't think you're going to get any phone calls.
Yeah.
They can't afford it.
But the operation was so Mickey Mouse, I couldn't get a simple call. Here I was doing a show on an NFL team. I'm trying to give them attention and catch our fans up with some former Raiders and what they're up to, right. And I couldn't even get a call back. Then submitted credentials. The championship game was supposed to be in Las Vegas before they moved it to Dallas. That will never happen.
To the Dallas practice field.
Yes. I put in credentials for us to go to that to cover it and wanted to do some interviews before. Never even heard back from the league.
Yeah.
So just a complete disaster. I feel worse, guys, for the players who went there to try to make a name for themselves to get back in the NFL, right? Because it's supposed to be a developmental league. Now, some have already signed, including the Raiders with Barrett. So some of them are getting what they need. Others had a little more work to do. And now they're out in the cold, some of them with credit card bills.
Let me ask you, is the NFL, are they being arrogant or are they being naive by not having a developmental league? Why wouldn't they jump in, maybe try to rescue this?
Well, I think the NFL doesn't want to tarnish its brand with something that failed. I think the NFL, when they did NFL Europe as a developmental league, that worked pretty good. But to me, yes, I think they should do a developmental league. We'll see what comes out of it. But I don't think they're going to touch a brand that was sort of.
Would it behoove the NFL to have a developmental league, or are they just happy having college football?
They have one. It's called the NCAA.
Yeah, so they're just happy with that.
The reason the NFL doesn't have a developmental league is the same reason the NBA doesn't have 32 G League teams. They're
trying to.
They're trying to, but every team's like, I'm not paying for this. I'm not losing money. You're going to have owners in the NFL that would gladly pay to say, hey, I'll have a team to get these guys,
right.
But you're not going to have 32 of them. You're going to have an imbalance on something like that, and that's what's going to keep them from doing it. It's a money issue. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I always thought that the NFL never had a developmental league just because it was such a violent sport. People go down, they get injured, and I guess that's probably one of the biggest arguments.
I was going to say, that's kind of why you need one, though.
Right, and then your young players are getting experience. You can try out new rule changes, like they could do this pass interference rule for a year down there to see if it works, kind of like the NBA did the shot clock. And even in baseball, I think they're actually experimenting with a higher mound this year. You can, there's so many benefits to having a developmental league. I'm not sure why the NFL wouldn't jump on that. You talked last week about how the NFL is focusing on the growth and having the games in London. Why wouldn't they focus on the growth in their home base?
Well, I think they're content. And remember that the NFL is a huge money-making operation. And if you're the owners, do you want to drag on your revenue? I think that's what it comes down to.
No, that's 100% it. You can't get 32 owners to agree to do this because the Bengals would never pay to have a development. No, and
it's true though. You're right.
The Raiders 5 years ago would never have done that. I mean, it's like you're just not going to have that.
What if we had half? What if we had 15 teams, 16 teams, and two team shared two teams shared one developmental team, something like that.
Still, the Bengals are never going to pay for it. I mean, that's the thing. You're not going to. You're going to have teams that will see no cost benefit of doing this, want nothing to do with it. Because this is, like I said, it's a dollar figure.
But, we saw in the AAF, they're getting fans, right? Orlando was averaging 20,000 fans.
Some teams were,
Like 3 teams were.
But even across the board and all of these baseball and basketball, these smaller communities, they rally around. I think most of the teams break even. You're talking about, cost at most. I think they lose $1 million.
That was the big problem, was the salaries were too high to begin with. They had higher salaries to try to get more players. and their costs, they were never going to.
Right.
This was never going to be a money-making operation for the first couple of years. It just wasn't going to happen.
And now Vince McMahon, I guess that's why they rushed it, because Vince McMahon's starting the XFL up again, right?
Well, yeah, he is. And what do you guys think about this, though, too? You don't have to do a full developmental league that are on TV and all that. What if the NFL allowed teams to create, like a short roster of players that they want to evaluate in the offseason, and then you're able to do that? It could be scrimmage-based. It could be all that kind of stuff where you're able to do that. Is that a happy medium where you don't have to spend the money? You're not playing in big stadiums. You're playing on your practice field.
How much are you paying the players? Because no guy's going to go out there for free and take the chance of getting injured. If you tell a guy, hey, we're going to do this, you might blow out your knee, you could never play again, but here's $25,000, it's not going to happen.
And we already have, they have the practice squad already.
Yeah, they have the practice squad, but my point is you don't see a lot of game action. I mean, you see practice action, you don't see game action. But I think that's the issue, to your point, Chaz, earlier, and how you just said it, Kelly, and that is, you can't compensate a guy enough to say, hey, come out, even if you did a short season, 4 weeks, scrimmage-based, developmental season, and say, okay, we'll give you $70,000. And then you blow your knee out, and you could have gotten a $500,000 contract with another team had you stayed healthy. I mean, to your point, so there's always going to be inherent risk there.
It's debatable if they're going to get that next contract.
Yeah.
But you know what the G League does? They have two-way contracts. So if you're playing down in the minor leagues, you get a set amount, and then when you get called up, to the major leagues, you get a nice bonus.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Kelly, though, why? Let me ask you this, since you brought up the AAF is in your corner here. Why will the XFL make it, or won't it?
I think the biggest thing with the XFL is, one, you got Vince McMahon, whose ego will not let him fail again unless it's a massive failure. But he's also already done this once already. He's learned from his mistakes. He's a billion-dollar corporation now. He sold $247 million worth of stock to bankroll this. So you have instead of the new owner coming in for whatever reason, you have one owner running this who wants this to work. Right. So that's the biggest thing they have going for it. It may still fail because you're never going to get big talent. You're never going to get a big TV deal. But it is something that if you give it 2-3 years, give it a chance to catch on, because even, like I said, even mediocre football will draw some TV ratings. Yeah. People are still going to watch it. It's never going to be huge, but it can work.
Yep. All right, Kelly's Corner on the AAF and the XFL. AAF, goodbye, good riddance. I liked watching it, but you never got back to me for interview requests. Terrible, terrible organization. Not just because of that, but for all the kind of reasons. Not paying credit card bills for their players, you name it. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we will...
Bobo, and you'll listen to the Silver and Black Show.
And should be a Hall of Famer. Crime. Every time his voice comes on, I have to say it just because it's ludicrous. True. It's ludicrous that he is not in there. Just a reminder, guys, on our big promotion, go follow _Saturday Sports Beat here on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Saturdays from 8 to 10, all Las Vegas sports, including the Raiders. They are, and we are, going to be out at the Park MGM for that promotion. So make sure you do that. You can win a gift basket, VIP basket, all kinds of great stuff, including beer. So make sure you go check it out as well there. But guys, let's close out the show a little bit talking about. Is that you yawning over there, Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's yawning on the air.
He's a vampire. He stays up all night.
He does. But guys, when we look at this, the closer we get to the draft, for most football fans and for media like us, it's like the kid the night before Christmas. It's just it gets harder and harder to wait the closer you get. What one thing, and I'll start with you, Chaz, is there one thing you think is going to surprise people about this first round, not just with the Raiders, but in general, what might go down? What do you think? I mean, is Kyler Murray going to go to the Cardinals, or might he drop out of the top four?
I just don't see us taking Kyler Murray. Coach Gruden, where in his history does it show that he's worked with a young quarterback, a rookie, no less? I know Mo talked about it earlier. You guys have talked about it. He doesn't, we can't use Marcus Tuiasosopo as a good example, but certainly he had ample time with Chris Sims in Tampa Bay, and he elected to go with Brian Griese and then later Jeff Garcia. So as far as Kyler Murray, even if he drops to the Raiders, I still think maybe they do some kind of package and trade. So for surprises, no, I don't think there'll be any major surprises.
Will Murray go in the top 4?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Kelly, we look at that. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think, we were talking in the break about this, is Murray going to go in the top 4 for sure? And if so, what other surprises may there be because of that domino falling in the first round?
I mean, it's the draft. Nothing's for sure. I mean, you know how that is every year. I think he goes top 4 because I think that, like I said, I think Arizona's basically painted themselves in a corner because they've lost Josh Rosen mentally. He's got no faith in the.
Why do you say that?
I mean, you can see it. Just he took all the Cardinal stuff off his Instagram. And
he did
like that. You're hearing all. I mean, and him sitting there listening to all this stuff about how this is basically a done deal. I mean, how could you have any faith in the organization anymore? You know, they're talking out both sides of their mouth, which is what every team does this type of year. Yep. But he's just, he's a different cat, and I just think for him that's, if I'm not your guy, I'm done with you.
Yeah. I mean, that should be everybody's attitude, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. And see, here's what my view is. I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Oh.
I'm going to say Murray is not going to be in the top 4. Just because. No.
No reason. Just for no reason.
No. Actually, I'm kidding. I think he's going to go number 1 of the Cardinals, so I agree with you there. And I think that as a result of that, I really believe that the Jets will trade out of 3 as well. So I think that will bode well for the Raiders and either getting Quinnen Williams or Jared Allen at number 4. So I don't think the Raiders are going to pull out of that spot. I do think
Jared Allen. Wow!
I said Jared Allen.
Is he coming out of retirement for the draft?
Josh Allen.
That age might be an
Josh
issue.
Jared. At my advancing age, that sometimes you forget. But I think that's what's going to happen. And then I think the Raiders will trade at the bottom of the first round to acquire picks in the second and third so that they can get some more bodies to the point we made earlier. And that's how I think it's going to go. So I think it's Murray at 1. I think it's Haskins maybe at 3, whoever trades up, and then the Raiders will have their pick. So it'll be a very good opportunity for the Raiders to get the guy they need to have impact.
Yeah, for me, where Cleveland Farrell ends up getting drafted, because he's the guy that's kind of been falling from earlier. I've seen him everywhere from 8 to 32.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could go anywhere. Rashawn Gary, same thing. It's like, where's he going to go? Because he's anywhere from 4 to the second round, depending on which draft you look at.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, someone always falls. Yeah. It's like, who's it going to be?
That's right. Well, we're going to step aside now. Kelly Kreiner, Chaz Osborne, thanks for being with us today. As always.
Pleasure.
All right. Lots of draft to talk about in the next few weeks as we move up to that. So make sure you pay attention and follow us on Twitter, SilverBlack2Day, the number 2Day, and check out our podcast. Did a special one this past week, as well as the website, silverandblacktoday.com. For my co-host, Kelly Kreiner, Chaz Osborne, and engineer David Stepanian, who just gave me, I think, an extra 30 seconds, so I can say this very slowly. No, just kidding. But we're going to be covering the draft. We have some announcement about a special draft broadcast coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. For those of you who are messaging us about draft parties in Las Vegas that are Raiders-focused, we'll get back to you on that one. It's still gelling, but look to our website, silverandblacktoday.com, for more information on that. All right, we're through another week. 51 weeks in a row. We have not missed a week. We celebrate our year anniversary next week here on this show. We hope you join us. Thanks to all the viewers.
No shows, snapping it right now.
Thanks to all the viewers on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. And as we always say, we sign off but never say goodbye, Raider Nation. Thanks for listening, and until next week, may the autumn wind always be at your back. Take care, everybody.